Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix, and you're listening to the week ahead video for December 12th, 2021. Can you guys believe we're almost at the end of this year? It's amazing. It has gone by very quickly, and I'm sure it has for you as well. I have a really great webinar, episode for you guys. A really good one, because we're going to talk about central banks. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down all the central banks that I follow, who's making an interest rate decision, and we're going to go through each one of the charts from scratch. So I have erased all of the technical, not all the technical indicators, but I erased all the lines and the drawings, and we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to do that together. So it's a really exciting episode, webinar, show for you guys. So I'm glad that you are here. But before I continue on, I have to mention just a few things, some housekeeping. If you haven't tried out ForexAnalytix, this is the time to do so, because you get it for $1 for 10 days. Why is that important? It's important because we're offering a very steep discount at the beginning of the year. We do our annual yearly, discount. Here's the thing. When we have the discount, you can't take a trial. So the important thing is to take a trial right now, then take advantage of the offer at the beginning of the year. And even if you start using ForexAnalytix after the 10 days, you can still get the discounted amount when we offer the special. So get involved. No time is better than this week with everything that's happening. Make sure you download the mobile app too, which, by the way, we hope to release the mobile app by Christmas. It'll be a nice little Christmas gift for you, or holiday gift if you don't celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is. It'll be a nice end of the year present for you. Make sure you download the mobile app on the Apple iTunes Store or Google Play Store. And one last thing I want to mention, if you guys don't check out Traders Summit, tradersummit.net, a lot of great interviews. I just interviewed Dean over here from Dean Christians from Sentiment Trader, which I really am a fan of. Jim Welsh, I do a nice little interview with him. Try to do it every week. It's awesome. Give you a nice macro view. You can read all Mark Chandler's stuff. Michael Brown's coming on this next week from Canton FX. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite FX guys out there. We have just a lot of great content that you guys can see on a daily basis. Make sure you're visiting tradersummit.net every single day to get the latest from some of the most trusted experts out there. I just did one with Katie Stockton. She's awesome from Fair Lead. You guys just check it all out. It's all great stuff. All right, let's talk about the markets now. I'm going to go into ForexAnalytix really quick. This is like the app that you'd actually use. By the way, when you try out ForexAnalytix, I had somebody this week that I was talking to that didn't know where to find this. There is a page guide right at the bottom that will actually take you through everything on ForexAnalytix. You can exit that guide just like that. Or there's a video tutorial if you want to watch it here. Okay, so it's at the bottom toolbars. Check it out. That is for the desktop platform. We've added new features since we did that tutorial, but there's a lot of there's news flow. There's the data flash, risk calculator, live squawk, all that fun stuff. All right, I'm not going to take you through these charts though, because they have not all been updated going into the this next weekend. They're being done right now. So I'm going to take you through all the charts like I told you. But first, what we should probably do is figure out what central banks are meeting. You guys have probably heard, if you haven't already, this is probably going to be one of the busier weeks, and it's like just a chart topper, or a topper just before the holidays, right? I am following 6 central banks that are that have a possible change in interest rates or an interest rate decision this week. Some of you might be thinking, oh, there's only 4: the FOMC, right? The ECB, right? Bank of England. Who else do we have? We have the SNB, the Swiss National Bank, and then also we have the Norges Bank, and then we have Banxico for the dollar mex. So a lot of central bank activity this week, and it just so happens that a lot of these currencies are ones that I'm following very carefully. So let's do some top-down analysis with the euro dollar weekly chart. And I'm starting from scratch. I've got a 200-day moving average, 50-day moving average, and a relative strength with just the basic RSI 14 close settings. If you guys have been following my work for the last 20 years, you probably are like, Blake's charts don't really change that much. No, every once in a while I'll throw in an EMA if I'm curious, or maybe I'll throw in a couple of EMAs looking for momentum. But for the most part, this is what you see is what I work with, and it has worked well for me. Doesn't mean it's going to work well for you. And I never tell people it's my way or the highway. I have the best way to trade. That's just, anybody that does that, just don't. Everybody's got their own unique style. I just use a very basic technical analysis. KISS, keep it simple, silly, stupid. Sally, Sarah, Steve, whatever. I just like to keep it simple. So, that's it, right? Multi-year trend line, over 10 years. We're obviously testing that trend line. Here's the daily chart. Most of you that are in the ForexAnalytix community already, that I'm using that trend line to pivot off of. Why is it so important? Well, it's so important because if you take you take some of these lows to highs. Let me go to low to high and let me put in a couple fibs for you. Okay, this is near the 618 retracement, right, of this post-COVID move, right? Also, you can see some extensions come out there around the same areas. So because of that, I have to be really, I know that we're getting close to a pivot area, and you can see how we're just consolidating around this area. Now, I personally am long the euro dollar at this point. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be in the euro dollar ahead of the ECB, the FOMC, and all these other central banks. But I'm currently going into this weekend still long the euro and have been long since basically 112. Most of you that listen to the daily webinars know that. So right now, when you're looking at the euro, it's really quite simple, in my opinion. This resistance right here is important. You could almost say that we're developing some sort of consolidation, which would be a triangle, something like that, which would be potential continuation pattern. However, this is what you're going to notice right here. The 38%. Let me make that a different. Different colors here. That is the 38% retracement at 113.80. So break above 113.80 becomes very bullish. And I think, if we break down, that could be potentially bearish for the euro, okay? And a move down to the trend line and quite possibly even further is entirely possible. If you take this, let me make a different line there. It's not one I wanted. If you use a different trend line, this could be a pennant, right? And if it is a pennant, that has the risk of continuing, something that looks like that towards 108. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. The dollar's in breakout territory. The euro is bearish right now, but it is consolidating around, as you can see, very critical support. So the way I'd be viewing this is, dips down to 111.75 are going to be pretty well supported. A break above 113.80 would be a nice recovery and potential reversal in the euro back up towards 115, 116. So the reason why I say 115 is because the 115 level would be the breakdown point, previous breakdown point. Also, it is a trend line, comes in right around the same spot. So those are all going to be really important resistance levels on a break higher. Okay, you guys with me thus far? Good. We're going to move along. All right, and that really. The euro dollar encompasses the FOMC too, because the euro represents 53% of the dollar index, so it's a big chunk of it. So the dollar index is basically inverse of that. Let's talk about the sterling. So the sterling finally getting a little bit of a bounce, but why is it getting a bounce from here? Why here? Why is here so important? Well, why here is so important is because if you take longer term and you take the low, post-COVID low to the highs, that is a 38% retracement. Very important support for the sterling. Now, what you're also going to notice with the sterling is a descending wedge breakout reversal. So how far can we move higher with the sterling? Now, I know a lot of people are bearish to sterling right now because of the political environment and what's happening around, Prime Minister Johnson, Bojo. But the fact of the matter is, the sterling is basing right here. So, if there's a no contest vote or something like that, maybe the sterling does come back under pressure. But I think if you're trading it long with the long-term 38% retracement as support, that's going to be important. So now what I would do from here is to take that most recent high where we have the descending wedge, go from high to low, and you'll notice the 38% retracement comes in around 133. And 133 also is, you can see this previous support right through here. That's going to be really important resistance, because that was previous support, right? That's going to be important resistance for the week. So going into, the rest of the week, when you start looking about, the Bank of England and the ECB, even though the ECB is not expected to move on rates, we do expect that the ECB, Lagarde might become more hawkish, if you will, leading the market in a more hawkish fashion. That's why I think you got to be really careful with the euro as a potential reversal. But I'm not necessarily. I think every central bank is going to lean more hawkish. That's the one thing that I want to point out going into this week. Now you have the Bank of England. The Bank of England, there is a risk that you start to see some activity from a monetary policy standpoint. So everybody's going to be watching the sterling very careful as we come up to 133. As long as we're above 131.65, 131.70, that's very well supported. Okay, let's move along. Next currency pair we're going to talk about is the Swissy. Now, I'm going to go to a longer term chart on the Swissy. This is a weekly chart, right? So if you look at the last year and a half, we had a nice little triangle consolidation. Check this out. So you had this breakout, tried to break out, right? Here's the triangle support. You guys see that on a weekly basis. Now here's the problem. Let's go over to the daily chart. So the daily chart set up what is that? That's a possible double top. And that's also a possible false breakout. Now, if you have a double top, possible false breakout, what will happen here, in my opinion, is if we break through this support, let's do this like this. You break through this support, then you start talking about extensions. Why do you start talking about extensions? Because you're going to have a double top in play. So now you have a false breakout, double top. That takes us realistically back to, on a breakdown, towards the 161% extension, which in essence, we might hit a low, not a new trend low, and then that probably sets up for a bigger reversal, on the bullish side for the Swissy going into next year. Now, I have told our ForexAnalytix subscribers from, day one pretty much, I do not like to trade the Swiss franc that much. One of the things that I don't want to be doing is buying the Swiss franc, which means, shorting dollar Swiss, because I think the risk is that the Swiss National Bank is trying to actively keep the Swiss franc weak, so they could intervene at any moment. So I'd rather, for me personally, now it's not saying this is the right thing for you to do. What I'm personally looking for is a dip down to this level so I can be a buyer. That doesn't mean we're going to be back down there tomorrow, and I think that's going to be more like the beginning of 2022 type of situation. But that is how I'm viewing the dollar Swiss. Moving right along. The Norges central bank. Now, this is an interesting pair because most of you guys know I've traded the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona quite a bit. I'm very active in this currency pair. A lot of portfolio managers love to trade this, FX PMs. They love to trade Norway. It's got a great carry. It's got good volatility. I mean, you look at some of these moves from a percentage basis, like this is a 2-3 day move, right? That's a almost 3% move. 3% move in Norway, that's a big one. Try getting a 3% move in the euro dollar. What's 3% look like in the euro dollar? I mean, you're moving, 400 pips, right? 350 pips. I mean, that's a big move for the euro. Does that happen all the time? No. Moves in the euro are more like you'll be lucky if you can, paste together 1.5, maybe 1.75% moves in a couple of days. U.S. dollar Norwegian krona will, eclipse that. So there's a flip side to that too. Don't get stuck on the wrong side. Speaking of getting stuck on the wrong side, look at this. This is a double top. This is the breakdown. By the way, I traded this on the short side way back when, earlier this year. You know, you got a nice little double top, worked its way lower, found some support, made a lower low, or excuse me, I misspoke. Higher low, right? Higher low. Okay. And now we got a, believe it or not, higher high. But what did we get here? We got a false breakout, which means that, you know, there is a risk that we move lower. Now, ultimately, I actually think the US dollar Norwegian krona is going higher. Okay. Why did I put this down? Well, if you guys, again, if you listen to the free daily FA.C.E webinar, most of you guys and gals are already well in the know to how I'm playing the US dollar Norwegian krona. And by the way, I played this on the long side and I did very well with it over the last month and a half. I actually traded on the short side earlier this week, made a little bit of money. Even though I'm not comfortable doing that trade, I still took it. And if you look at this, low to high, right? Right here. 38% retracement, 50% retracement. I believe this whole area offers a lot of support for buyers. So if we get a dip down to 880, maybe 875, I'm looking to be long going into maybe the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year. But I'm looking to be on the long side down here, as I think crude oil has peaked near term, which is going to have an effect on Norway. I think the US dollar Norwegian krona will continue to weaken. Now, that doesn't mean that the US dollar Norwegian krona can't go down here as we form some longer term, you know, channel. It is whole, you know, I just totally minced my words here. It's totally possible at this point that we're just forming some bigger channel that looks like this. So we end up dropping further, but my first attempt at a bounce is going to be somewhere in this neighborhood. Okay. So just giving you guys a little heads up on how I want to play the US dollar Norwegian krona. Keep in mind, everybody is expecting Norway to raise interest rates going into this next week. Let me see how long this video is. Oh my gosh, I got to wrap things up soon. But before I do, let's talk the dollar MEX. So the dollar Mexican peso, this is another one that I traded pretty aggressively, and I'm looking to be a buyer on dips. Now we are at really important support here at 21. If you are a ForexAnalytix F.A.C.E subscriber, by the way, if you don't know how to get to that free F.A.C.E webinar, just go to our website, ForexAnalytix. Remember, it's with an X. ForexAnalytix with an X, right? Go down to where it says webinars, right here. I'm sorry. Right here where it says free F.A.C.E webinar, click right now, register now to attend for free. This is just a Zoom link. You'll be able to fill this out. You'll get a Zoom email emailed to you once a day when we broadcast, and just be there. Okay, you can watch us on YouTube if you want. Anything else? Okay, I can hear the lawn people outside of my house, not my house, but in the neighborhood. So just keeping that in mind. If you guys hear any weird noises, that's what it is. So here's the lower trend line, right? Let's clone that. This is a risk. What I think is happening, this is actually what I think is happening here. Here's the upper trend line. Let me clone that. Banxico is expected to raise rates too. Okay. So what I'm looking for is a dip to buy the dollar MEX down at these levels. Now, if you take a low from this support to that high, the 618 comes in at 2071. If you want to take it all the way back down, maybe even to these lows right over here, you're talking about the 618 coming around 2055. So this whole area, in my opinion, is a buy zone. Now, you know, what's going to take us the difference between, you know, finding a low here or finding a low here? It probably has more to do with risk appetite. If you guys have not seen, equities are very strong. And let me pull up the S&P really quick. The S&P continues to just blaze higher, and to me, it looks like we are going to continue to break out as Santa Claus looks like he is coming to town. Even if you do not believe in Santa Claus, he may still end up coming. So, and if you take this trend line, go like this, oops, like that, looks like we are probably heading up into this area over the course of the next couple of weeks. So because of that, I would expect emerging market currencies continue to strengthen, commodity currencies like the Aussie and the Kiwi continue to strengthen. And I want to say, if you guys really enjoyed this video, you got a lot out of it, and you think that, boy, that's going to help me a lot next week, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's free to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our content every day. In case you missed the free webinar, we post it on YouTube so you can see it there. And yeah, if you like what I just did, give me a thumbs up. Give our editorial team a thumbs up. It's the weekend, and we're doing this for you. So I hope you enjoyed it. All right, guys and gals, my name is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. I'll see you on Monday morning on the F.A.C.E webinar. Have a great weekend. Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.